Well, to discuss today's developments in the studio with me, senior journalist and columnist Shekhar Gupta joins us. We're also being joined by R.K. Raghavan, former CBI director, Kirit Somaiya of the BJP, expected to join us as well on the show, Ajay Kumar of the Congress, and lawyer and Rajya Sabha MP from the NCP, Majid Memon, also joining us. Kirit Somaiya, I want to actually open this by asking you, how far are you going to sorry, we're just trying to get Kirit Somaiya up and checked. We will come across to him. But all right, as we wait for that, Ajay Kumar of the Congress party has said they're going to put their entire might behind Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. What does that really mean, given the fact that many people say he should have taken moral responsibility at the time the coal scam erupted?
You know, Maya, one is that if you look at we'll take the coal issue in part two, but the part one is the Talabira coal block allotment. The fact is that it was a joint venture where 85% of the ownership was with the public sector. Manadi coal fields had 70%, 15% was Naval Lignite Corporation and 15% was Hindalco. The state government, so the screening committee rejected it, the state government recommended it, and then the chief minister again said that please put my request on file, because Hindalco, based on their record, had not been given the coal which they were allotted earlier, because Mahanadi coal fields were not able to supply them, and it was critical for the state of Orissa. So the fact is that the Prime Minister followed then he was the coal minister also, followed all the norms which was there, and used it, executed it, to the spirit and to the law.
Okay.
As far then there's an inquiry by the CBI which says that there is nothing, there is no evidence at all and no charges can be filed.
Right.
Now,
in fact,
judge, I'm not going to make a comment on what the honorable judge has said. But
in fact, let me take that to Kirit Somaiya, because he's joining us.
So Maya, I want to say that it was following a process.
Okay, all right, we get your point, that at that point in time, that was the process, even though there was a screening committee that had been set up to suggest auctions as well as a way for the government to earn some revenues of these coal block allocations. Kirit Somaiya, your own party leaders are saying today that Manmohan Singh is paying for the Congress party's sins. There are other political parties, including Orissa's BJD, that's saying don't politicize this issue. How far are you going to go in pursuing Dr. Manmohan Singh, given that the CBI had a few months ago said there was no prosecutable evidence against him?
See, regarding investigation, action and status of the inquiry, I don't think we have any propriety to pass any observation, because at present CBI is functioning under court guidance. And let us accept that the independence of our judiciary, and it is just due to judiciary and CAG all this coal scam has come out. But one thing is true, everybody knows I have obtained hundreds of documents through RTI, and in all these documents it is very clear that in several cases, incidents including this, the instructions have been received from PMO. So now PMO, who heads the PMO? At present also the CBI's observation is there is something wrong in this, and that's why they have summoned all these 5 people.
Okay.
So there is enough scope for suspicion. Another thing, we also believe that individually Manmohan Singh is a sajjan, a gentleman. So Manmohan Singh must have been functioning, acting, or the PMO must have issued the instruction on somebody's chitti, somebody's cheat instruction, maybe through telephone or that.
All right.
What we are requesting Manmohan Singh, he must come out openly and say why he has given such instruction.
All right, Shekhar Gupta, I want you to come in on this. Manmohan Singh is a gentleman. They don't believe that he must have given some kinds of instructions. The message really not one of we're going to go after this man, so what if he was former Prime Minister, we're going to make sure that he is punished for something like this. Now, there are many arguments to be made about how this is going to be fundamentally not a very strong case, because the CBI itself has talked about the lack of prosecutable evidence policy being followed at that time.
Anybody suggesting that Dr. Manmohan Singh did anything corrupt, for personal gain. And frankly, I do not believe anything by implication for party gain.
Right.
It's preposterous. It's not going to work. And if they shoot that high in the case to try and maybe convict Dr. Manmohan Singh for corruption, sounds very interesting, but it's not going to happen. It will be as stupid and as futile as the pursuit in which UPA wasted 10 years sneakily going after Arun Shourie every once in a while on privatization cases. There was no way they could have found anything, because there is nothing. And even if they try to throw something at him, his reputation would have come in the way. Similarly, Manmohan Singh's reputation will come in the way. So the two questions there have to be separated. One is a policy. A government can make a faulty policy, or government may think it's the right policy. Tomorrow, a smarter government can come, or tomorrow a different policy can come for whatever reason.
Right.
Right. So you cannot prosecute a government
based on an existing policy that they are following. Right.
Second, within that policy was there corruption. Within that policy was fairness followed. Look at 2G. There was a policy on 2G, first come, first serve. But from all evidence so far, it looks like Mr. Raja did not follow first come, first serve.
Right.
Right. So within the policy, there was allegedly corruption. So within the policy, there are cases where there may have been corruption, there was allegedly corruption. But to say that somebody is criminal for a policy is, I think, just taking this to the extreme, because every government has policy.
So essentially, as we're saying, that there is commentary saying this will not fly beyond a point, because
well, I think it's a day's excitement, because suddenly you've seen this movie before. We had Narasimha Rao paraded through courts in all kinds of cases.
In the JMM case,
Lakubhai Pathak, JMM. In his case, the party had dumped him because he was persona non grata in Congress party, which they will not do with Manmohan Singh. But the fact is, just like those cases got focused on the wrong thing.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's bring
this case may also get focused on the wrong thing.
Let's bring in the lawyers as well,
and lose its focus.
Right. Majid Memon, tell us how this is different, say, for example, from the Narasimha Rao example that Shekhar Gupta is pointing out.
No, see, if you want to compare the two cases between what is alleged against Manmohan Singh and what was alleged against his predecessor, Narasimha Rao, then I think there is a vast difference between the two cases. And Maya, let me tell you one more thing as Shekhar was saying right away. You see, the government policies in a welfare state like ours are not necessarily always seeking to generate money. Unfortunately, with highest respect to the highest court of our land, Supreme Court believes that if such huge money could have been brought in the state treasury, why it has not come? Well, there are certain policies that are in the interest of the people, that are in the interest of Indian society, Indian democracy, that probably the government may not give the highest priority to money making, and therefore that would be an important point which will be examined, just as in 2G case or in this coal allocation. Number two, you see, this is the case where the investigating agency, which was being monitored constantly by the highest court of the land, has had extensive work of collecting evidence, and they have come to conclusion with their sense of wisdom, their sense of legal expertise, that there is no evidence against Manmohan Singh and the case was to be closed.
So then why would a court decide to go ahead?
The learned trial judge... No, it's all right. No, that is why, Maya, please give me a minute more. Give me 1 minute more. I'll explain to you a very important point. Now, this is not the first time where a trial judge has disagreed with the closure report. This has happened in several cases.
Right, okay.
But then, a case is not very strong if one of the two important pillars, namely the whole of investigating agency, which prepares the evidence, which collects everything, comes to an irresistible conclusion that there is no case to stand on its feet, and therefore a closure report is filed. And on the other hand, the absolute converse of it, that the trial court says that no, there is adequate evidence, prima facie evidence to proceed.
Right.
So therefore, this by itself makes the case very weak. And naturally now the Manmohan Singh and Mr. Birla will have all the opportunities to challenge this order of process, which, as you said, is running into 75 pages.
Okay.
I have had no benefit of reading the entire order. But then I'm sure that this will be a case which will be challenged.
Okay, Mr. Raghavan, in the meanwhile, can I ask you, if the CBI is making a decision that there is not prosecutable evidence, why, in your view, has the court gone ahead? The CBI director was the same at the time when that decision was made. What's going on?
Yes, I'll tell you. It's very simple. The court is not bound by the report which an investigation agency submits. It has a mind of its own. Having had a look at the material which the investigation team has submitted, it can come to its own conclusion. But then it is not going to close the case with that. It's going to proceed further, examine witnesses, and then ultimately everyone accused of an offense will have an opportunity to defend himself or herself. But before that, I would like to make 3 points, general points. First, you raised an interesting point whether Prime Minister in office, who was in office, can be prosecuted. Absolutely, yes, because the Prime Minister does not enjoy any immunity, the first one. Second, here, if he has to be prosecuted, especially under offences under the Indian Penal Code, definitely sanction for prosecution is needed, whether he is in office or outside office. So sanction prosecution is vital. Thirdly, the whole case is going to turn on the fact whether the decision of the Prime Minister caused any loss to government. And there can be a lot of subjectivity with regard to arriving at the, computing the loss. But first you must arrive whether there is a loss caused to government.
Right, okay.
Once you establish that a loss was caused to government on the basis of an existing policy, it is not necessary to prove any corruption. There is a provision under the Prevention of Corruption Act, where a public servant acts without public interest and causes loss to government, he is liable, irrespective of whether he had a mala fide. So these are the facts which will have to be thrashed out during trial. So
Yeah.
we are jumping the gun. We are talking too little ahead.